Hey guys, my name is Mike, and I used to be a bouncer in the biggest nightclub in New York City. So this was a huge club. I mean, we had 2,000 to 8,000 people a night there. Massive fucking club, took up half a city block. We had 5 floors, and it was mostly EDM, so big techno nightclub. Lots of hard drugs, coke, ecstasy, Molly. I mean, we had it was a lot of fun. It was definitely a very big, dynamic environment. Beautiful, scantily clad girls, young dudes just out there having fun. It was a great environment. It was a lot of fun, and we tried to keep it that way. We wanted people to come in, have fun, do their thing, and leave. We definitely wanted to keep the drugs under control. While it's fun that people are partying and doing their thing, it's very important not to let your club turn into some kind of a fucking drug den that's going to get raided by the NYPD and then you're going to get bad press, and hell, you can get your permits pulled, to operate as a business. So the owners of that club took it very seriously to make sure that we weren't some kind of fucking drug den. On top of it, we were big targets for drug dealers. So the reason I talk so much about the drugs there, right, is because, yeah, I was a bouncer, but I was also our head of narcotics. So I did a lot of work. I was a liaison with the NYPD, meaning that the cops would come to me and say, "Hey, Mike, we got to get these kinds of arrests, or we're looking for these types of arrests. Just pass them to us if you get them," right? So if they said, "Hey, we're on an initiative to target hard drugs," I'll be able to pass them over to anybody we caught with like heroin, coke, ecstasy, Molly, whatever. Or they said, "We're trying to catch drug dealers only. We go after people for drug dealers, or we're going after people with possession. We catch people with possession, pass them over." Whatever the situation was, we were there to help them hit their numbers. Sometimes it was violent arrests. We want violent offenders. We're going after rapes, that kind of stuff. So, or attempted rapes. Luckily, no. I don't know what happened to that girl, if that was a rape or not, but we had one situation where the girl was very heavily traumatized, and I think he was just charged with sexual assault in that situation. But we're going to talk about the story about dealing with druggies and being bored as a bouncer, and the kind of shit that we could do to people, that we did do to people sometimes. So this is actually a hip hop night, and our hip hop nights are pretty chill. There was unfortunately a disproportionate amount of violence against women. So guys that would get disrespected, and they would fucking smash a bottle over some girl's face. I mean, it was just fucking horrible, man. The way guys treated women, just fucking punch them and that kind of stuff. Punching women in the face, that kind of stuff, just fucking brutal on hip hop nights. But as opposed to the techno nights, there weren't as many hard drugs. So you didn't have like fucking crack and coke and ecstasy and that kind of stuff. Yeah, you had some Molly, a little bit of ecstasy, but mostly pot. Just lots of dudes with fucking marijuana. And, we didn't allow pot in the club too. Like, at the time, pot was still illegal. It still is illegal federally, right? But it was illegal in New York. And depending on how much of an asshole you were, we would decide to pass you off to the cops and have the cops prosecute you for possession, or we just confiscate your weed and throw you out. Destroy your weed, rip up your fucking blunts right in front of you and throw your ass out. Depending on how much of an asshole you were. So I was, having a pretty normal night, searching tons of people as they're coming in, and just feeling kind of bored. And I catch this one kid. I start talking with him, I'm patting him down, right? And I'm talking with this guy and saying, "Hey, so normally you pat people down for their weapons, right? So you kind of like just ask them, "Hey, put your hands up real quick, just gotta pat you down." So you pat them on their sides, you pass their waistband in the front and in the back, make sure they don't have a gun or a knife or something tucked in their pocket or, in their waistband. But also we'd ask them, "Do you have any drugs?" And we had to be pretty thorough with drugs because drug dealers were coming in all the time, especially professional gangs. The professional street gangs like Bloods, Crips, I call them professional because they were fairly organized compared to, other gangs. But any kind of organized crime, the mob, whatever, would try and get their drug dealers in, because the drug dealer can go in there and walk out with 20 to 50 grand a night. With that many people in that club, they make lots and lots of money. So So we'd want to catch these motherfuckers. We want to let them come in there and just, once again, turn us into some kind of a drug den and then take advantage of us and make money off of us. Plus, it was a cat and mouse game, right? Like, oh, your security's so stupid, they can't even catch our drug dealers. So, I'm patting this kid down, and I feel a little baggy in his, I actually could tell people when patting down their pocket, I could feel the drugs already in their wallet. My hands were very sensitive. And I would tell the guy, hey, let me see your wallet really quick. So he'd go and pull out his wallet, and I'd take his wallet out of his hand, and I could feel the drugs. I'd say, what's that? And I'd pop open his wallet, pull out, a baggie of drugs. And in this case, he had a baggie of like small pills. And it was just Molly, a little formed, like it looks like fucking not Tic Tacs. Fuck, I don't even know what the candy is. Smarties, I guess you'd say. Yeah, so like a little chalky, crushed pill thing. So he had some Mollies on him, like maybe 10. It's probably personal use or for him and his friends. I don't think he was the kind of a dealer. But I caught him, and of course he's nervous. Oh my God. And I'm like, in my head, I was like, man, I'm having a fucking boring night. I'm like, I feel like fucking chasing somebody, fighting with him or something. So, so I'm holding his baggie of drugs. I say, dude, I said, what the fuck is this? And I'm amping it up, right? I'm trying to get him scared and get him to fight with me or something. I said, well, what the fuck is this? He goes, oh, it's nothing. And I'm like, what do you mean it's nothing? This is a fucking felony. I said, your fucking life can be over right now. I said, is this your first time with something like this? Ever being caught? He's looking around now. Now I can tell he's getting ready to run or fucking punch me or something. He's starting to get all shifty. He's really fucking sweating. And I'm like, dude, are you on fucking probation? And that was it. I said, are you on fucking probation? And that's it. He fucking boom. And by the way, I had no intention of arresting him. I didn't give a fuck, I'm just trying to get some action out of him. But I said, you on fucking probation? And he just that's it. Fucking swung at me and fucking sprinted. So I, dodged him, and he fucking sprinted out the door, or tried to. And I fucking chased after him, boom, grabbed him up, wrapped him up, and he's like, let me go. And he's fucking kicking and shit like that, and the whole crowd's watching. People are like, get him, or whatever, saying all kinds of stupid shit. And a couple of my security guard buddies, came over. And, they helped me hold this guy, restrain him, and they're like, Mike, what's going on? I said, this guy's got some fucking whatever drugs on him. He's a code blue. So code blue was, our term for drugs. And he's a code blue. And and so they wrapped him up, and and we got him, and his kid's like, oh, leave me alone, it's not mine, blah, blah, blah. And at this point, this kid, we kind of roughed him up, and he's fucking terrified. And I don't think even the cops were working that day. Normally we got a couple of them outside of the club. It wasn't that busy of a day. And you know what? And they're like, what do we do? Are we going to arrest this guy or what? And I said, nah, fucking let him go. That was it. I wanted to get a rise out of him. It scared the shit out of him. But I told him, I still had his wallet and his drugs at this time. And his kids, oh my God, but I'm not saying in front of him, we're going to let him go, right? I go up to this guy, I said, dude, today's your lucky fucking day. I said, man, we could put your ass in fucking prison, but you know what? You've been somewhat cooperative with us. And, if we ever catch you again, your fucking life is over. And he goes, oh, okay, thank you so much. We're like, yeah, I know. And we fucking let him go. But had he been disrespectful, had he been fighting with the bouncers, trying to throw punches and all that shit, and really trying to rile up and gang up and, be a fucking problem, yeah, I would have said, yeah, let me call the sergeant. We would have called the sergeant. NYPD would have shown up, and we would have handed him the guy, his drugs, the evidence and all that, and they would have put him in handcuffs and taken him off. But it depends, right? Sometimes, if it was a drug dealer, if we suspected he was a drug dealer, we would have definitely arrested him too. It's not that we're trying to ruin people's lives. It's that, they're drug dealers. They're coming in, they're trying to pull the wool over our eyes and take advantage of us, and at the same time, it's a cat and mouse game. They know what they're in. They know what they're doing. When you're a criminal, you know exactly what you're doing. I don't give a fuck if you're, trying to feed your babies and you're at Walmart shoplifting. You know what you're doing. So when you get caught and you start crying, but I'm a single mother, I don't have any money, but you know what you're doing. So when you get caught, you're not being narked on, you're not being fucking, life isn't fair. You know exactly what you're doing, which is why you start feeling nervous when you see the security team walk over and say, hey, miss, can you come to here? We got to talk with you. You know exactly what you're doing. It's a cat and mouse game. So, bouncing in the clubs, being a drug dealer, you win some, you lose some, and the drug dealers kept coming because sometimes they'd be able to get through and they make fuck tons of money, so congrats to those that made it through. And, those of you who I caught, fuck you.